On this episode of What's Going On with Shipping, the training ship Kennedy on the rocks. Almost. This is video that was posted on Boston 25 News. G Captain has the story right now. This is the training ship Kennedy perilously close to a rock outcropping near St. Thomas. This is the path of Kennedy right here. This is the path of her coming in here. We're going to come back to that in 1 second here. You can see how close they came here to those rocks. This is her coming perilously close to Spratt Point. This is the entrance into St. Thomas of the U.S. Virgin Islands. So question is, what happened here? What is the training ship Kennedy? And what is going on with the ship right now on this episode of What's Going On with Shipping? Hi, I'm Sal Mercogliano, Associate Professor of History at Campbell University, a former merchant mariner, and an adjunct instructor in maritime industry policy for the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. This is the training ship Kennedy. And something you should know about is the United States operates a federal academy and 5 state academies. And each of these academies have their own versions of training ships. This is from, let's see if I can pull this up here for you. Let's see what we got here. There we go. This is the training ships of the different schools right here. This is from a Maritime Administration poster. The training ship Empire State, that is the training ship for the State University of New York Maritime College. Training ship Kennedy is the training ship for Massachusetts Maritime, although at this incident, she wasn't operated by the Massachusetts Maritime Academy. And we'll talk about that in a second. She was actually operating under Texas Maritime Academy. Then there are the 2 sister ships, the Golden Bear, the state of Maine. Those are for both California State Maritime and then Maine Maritime. The state of Michigan also has Great Lakes Maritime Academy in Michigan. And then the training vessel General Rudder, which is a small vessel, is typically used by Texas Maritime, but for purposes of their deep water transit, they usually borrow one of the other training ships. In this case, she was borrowing Kennedy. The other Maritime Academy, and there's again a total of the 5 state and the Federal Maritime Academy. You have the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. The U.S. Merchant Marine Academy does not have its own training ship. It sends its midshipmen out on U.S. flagged and other vessels of the U.S. Merchant Marine for their training times. And then all the other schools, California, Great Lakes, Maine, Massachusetts, SUNY Maritime, which is New York Maritime, and Texas A&M, operate their own training ships. Part of the degree program for cadets, midshipmen, it's different at different schools, is that besides the typical 4-year education program they undergo, they also have to get 180 days of sea time. And that usually involves going out on the school's training vessels. And these training vessels in the past have been excess vessels from the Maritime Administration, vessels that are no longer operational in the U.S. Merchant Marine, handed over to them. Right now, there's a program underway to replace vessels, training vessels in the fleets. This is the homepage right here of Massachusetts Maritime. And one of the things they talk about here is the Semester at Sea program. This is their fleet. The vessel involved today, or not today, but on July 15th when this happened, is the training ship Kennedy. The training ship Kennedy is 56 years old. She's an old vessel. She's been around for a long time. She was initially built for Likes Lines. After her service with the Likes Lines, she went into the Ready Reserve Force, became the Cape Bon, and then was modified into a training ship for Massachusetts Maritime. She was initially named the Enterprise for the very first training ship operated by Massachusetts Maritime. And then in 2009, she was renamed for the Kennedy family. So she's been renamed Kennedy, had her name changed 3 times, then never a good thing. They're looking forward to getting a new vessel, and that's going to be this vessel right here, what are called these national security multi-mission vessels. 5 of these right now are earmarked to be built. The first one is going to go to New York Maritime. The next one would go to Massachusetts Maritime, at which time the Kennedy would transfer down to Texas. And eventually Texas, I think, is in line to get the 4th of these national security multi-mission vessels. These vessels right now are under construction at Philadelphia shipyard, what was the old Philly Navy Yard. Right now they're building 2 of these. The ship for New York, and then the one for Massachusetts. And then they also operate Massachusetts Maritime, a variety of different vessels, small little training vessels. My favorite things they operate, and I'm going to show them right here, are these man models, these kind of man model vessels. Very, very cool if you've never seen these before. But let's get back to the story that started this off. So, how did the training ship Kennedy get involved in this near grounding incident? So, the story here is number one, the vessel just came back from its sailing days with the Massachusetts Maritime Academy, at which point she was loaned out to Texas A&M for a 56-day training cruise. She was going to head out to. And as the video shows you here, the vessel came perilously close, perilously close. I want to come back up to this video and show you this track line. So this is the track line that the ship was operating under. It's 15 July. You can see the vessel coming in here and coming very close to Spratt Point. You saw the video, you saw the images right here. That is Spratt Point right there. You're getting perilously close to that point right there. And then she comes out, heads back out, and it looks like she stops, drifts for a little while, probably hoves to there for a little bit to assess whether or not she actually struck. Now, let's talk a little bit about why this is so dangerous. This is MarineWays. You've heard me talk about marine traffic for a long time. This is another site I like a lot, MarineWays. MarineWays is excellent because number one, it has charts. Whenever I'm out on a boat, I use this thing. It's great. It very much does like your normal GPS does. But what it does is in the background, it has marine charts on it. And electronic navigation is the wave of the future. That's what everyone's doing now. Old paper charts are going away. They're hard to update. This is updated automatically. So this is St. Thomas. This is the berth up here where eventually the Kennedy went into. She was in there on July 17th. That is the berth that she would eventually go into. Spratt Point is right over here. And what you saw was, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit too, so you can see a little bit of a better image right here. So there's the berth up here. This is where she was berthed for a few days. This is Spratt Point right here. And let's get a little bit of imagery right here. So one of the advantages, one of the things that was very lucky for the training ship Kennedy is you can see right here, this is basically just a sheer drop rock outcropping. You got to get fairly close to Spratt Point to start getting into spoiled area, shallow area. It's basically a sheer cliff dropping into the water. You can see the depths of the water here as they drop off. And what this is telling, and these are in fathoms right here. So 6 feet in a fathom. And then you can see the markings right here. And so you can see the depths. And one of the things that the Kennedy was able to do, and let's see if we can do a little bit of trickery here for you. Hang on one second while I set this. So here's on the left is the track line from marine traffic, and you can see how close they came right here to Spratt Point. I mean, it is perilously close. Remember, AIS is not 100% accurate in exactly where the position of the vessel is. But here you see this is the anchorage, basically where she was in. Now, she was probably not making an entrance in here. We saw on the weather here. Let's go back here for a second. So, I mean, weather is not an issue here. They have clear visibility coming in. There's no question that they did not see this. And probably what was happening, and if you watch the video, and I'll have the link, of course, to this and everything, it's windy, but it's hard to tell if it's the vessel moving for the wind or if there's a wind setting them down. But one of the things we do know is that she seemed to be heading right in here. Let's go back here to a second. There we go. She's heading right in here. She's heading right into this little point right here, this little cove, and then she makes the turn. And probably what happened again is she turned too late. She initiated a turn. She was probably going to come in here, swing around and grab an anchorage and do boat drills. Who knows? We haven't gotten all the details yet. But something you should know about the training ships are not operated by the cadets, by the midshipmen. There are licensed officers on board. So there's a licensed officer. And coming this close to land, I would assume the ship's master would be up on the bridge. We don't know that for sure, but I would assume that the ship's master would be up on the bridge during this type of evolution. And the question is, who was the master at the time? Was this the Massachusetts Maritime crew on board with Texas A&M cadets on board? Who is operating the vessel? There's an investigation going on right now, according to the report that we're seeing here in G Captain and from Boston 25 News. So they're looking into this. and probably they were going to come in, swing around, come into there in anchorage and hold, but we're not sure. We're just not sure what exactly happened. And why this freaked out so many people in the maritime industry is it reminded everybody of an event that happened not too long ago. So this is the AIS track for a vessel called the Costa Concordia. And if you don't remember Costa Concordia, take you back to the early 2010s. This is Costa Concordia. She had just departed from Rome and she was making a pass at the island of Giglio. The ship's master had come up on the bridge, assumed command, and what he was going to do was do a what's called a pass by, pass close by it. And what happens here is his vessel gets too close to a rock outcropping, to a peninsula jutting out. Again, this is the scenario that I was just talking about here. And what you see here with Costa Concordia is the vessel came in. Now, this is at night too, I should mention. It was night. And what happens with Costa Concordia is she basically comes too fast and sliding in. And by the time they turn the rudder over, she begins her movement. And remember, ships skid, they don't turn like your car. The back end kicks out. And if you notice this little rock that's out here, that's what Costa Concordia strikes. Matter of fact, she impales that rock in her side. And what she winds up doing is opening up her entire port side, all the compartments on the port side to the ocean. This had the potential to be a catastrophic loss of life. I can't tell you how bad Costa Concordia almost was. Even though 32 people died, hundreds, if not thousands, could have died on the vessel. The thing that saved Costa Concordia and hundreds, if not thousands of people on board was not the actions of the captain. The captain was, I'm going to use a word here, and I apologize, was an absolute scum. He basically failed in his duties on numerous accounts, hence the reason he's in jail. But what saved really a lot of people was the winds blew this vessel back to shore and it prevented it from going down. It allowed people to get off the vessel even after the ship had grounded and rolled over. Still a massive loss of life. 32 people is nothing you want to make light of. But this had the potential to be a disaster, and this was caused by nothing else than human error. The master came up on the bridge, assumed command, turned late, sideswiped a rock, and then failed to get his passengers to the boat stations in an adequate amount of time. The announcements were made that there was an electrical issue. There was no electrical issue. Well, there was an electrical issue. The electrical issue was a huge rock bashed through the port side of the vessel, opening up the engine compartments, disabling the engines and all power. If this vessel had continued drifting out to sea, where you see it right now, it's drifting onto land right here, this would have been catastrophic. Now, let's take a minute here. Now, compare this track line to what you see with the TS Kennedy. Fortunately, Kennedy had been able to straighten up her course. She had made her turn. She didn't try to veer further away from the point. She was able to basically just clear the point. I don't know how close she came, but she had to have come close. Again, go back to MarineWays right here. I don't know how close she came. And those images right there are just, again, let's make sure I have this image showing for you right there. You can see how close she came to Sprat Point right there. Fortunately, the rocks, the bigger ones, this big, huge shoal right here is over here. It's further enough away, but it is perilously close. I mean, just absolutely perilously close she came. And it's just, again, an amazing thing. If you look at that track, here's her track a little bit in more detail right here. You can see it a little bit better where it was. She hung there at anchor. Again, this is that area right around here. She hung out at anchor and then sailed off into the harbor here. You can see that track line right there. You can see her moving and how close she comes to hitting. Again, not sure what was going on here. There's going to be an investigation into this to see what exactly happened, why the crew got themselves in a situation which they never should have been, getting that close. It's hard to understand. You see her here. I think I'll go ahead and zoom that in there for you. Let's go up here. Oh, that's part of the news report there. Let's go over here to the images right here where they show. There it is. You'll see she eventually got in here from Galveston into St. Thomas. There she is up at the berth right there. And right now, she is underway. Let's go ahead and pull her up here. Let's take a look at her right now. She is underway right now. So she was able to set sail. So obviously not an issue. Obviously no damage being assessed at the time. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull her up here, see where she's at. There she is, just north of Puerto Rico right now, underway, 11.2 knots, heading for Galveston. She's supposed to be in at the end of the month, July 30th. She just departed St. Thomas yesterday. And then you can kind of pull back her past track here for a little bit. You can see where she left St. Thomas right there. I can't pull it back any further than this, unfortunately, but you can see where she left St. Thomas, came back out. Again, there's that sprat point right there where she had basically been up against the berth. So not exactly sure what's going to happen regarding this. Obviously, an investigation will go on for the near miss. There'll be an assessment. You're involving Coast Guard in this. You'll involve, obviously, the Maritime Administration, since they are the owner of the Kennedy. You'll have Mass Maritime, Texas Maritime. I will tell you right now that there'll be a lot of infighting between Mass and Texas over this about loaning ships. No school likes to loan their ship out to another school. There's always a little bit of issues with that. I attended New York Maritime, so we would loan our vessel out to Massachusetts Maritime sometimes. And there was always some good natured rivalry between the institutions about this. The story is on G Captain. I'll make sure I have that post for you, along with the link over to the Boston 25 news story, and keep you posted on what goes on further with this. I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry, I don't have more information on it. It's just what's out there right now. The story is just coming out. So obviously they're putting a hush on it. The school, Texas, doesn't want people saying anything about it. But we will do a follow-up if we find out more about it. So if you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe to the channel. Go ahead, hit the bell so that you'll be informed about new videos when they come out. Also, be sure to like it, give it a thumbs up so that it'll be spread across YouTube. And also feel free to share it across social media. And until the next time, this is Sal signing off.